Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's Transformation Tuesday. Welcome to our leadership development call. My name is Miriam Kareem. So happy to have everybody here so we can learn and grow our businesses from our amazing coaching entourage. I'm going to make this really quick. So a quick trip to the newbie corner. We're under tornado watch, so I don't want my internet to go out again. But um, as I wanted to add on to what I talked about Sunday. Um, so basically the theme is don't build your business on one platform. Um, I wanted to build on something I shared the other night when I got restricted on Facebook. It really made me realize something, really important. A lot of us are building our entire business on one platform, and that's really risky. It was really risky for me, but I'm glad that I had some backup things in place that I really didn't even think about until I got in that mode where I had to use my backup things. But social media is it's really a great place to be, but we don't own it. It's not ours. It's not ours like you go and meet someone at a coffee shop or you get somebody on the phone. That's in that moment, you own that moment. Nobody can censor you, but social media can. Your account can get restricted. Even the algorithm can change. Things glitch like mine did, even though it really wasn't a glitch. I'm just saying, putting that out there. They said it was a glitch, but we know what it was. Anyway, um, and if all of your conversations, your leads, your income are tied to one place, your business can pause overnight. So what you should be doing is number one, have a second platform ready, whether it's Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram, some other place where you can meet people and talk to people on a regular basis where they can contact you if something happens. Start moving people off the platform naturally, not all at once like a mass exodus, but just start moving people off the platform, and not in a spammy way. Maybe you can brainstorm some things, go to Chat GPT and ask. I'm sure it can give you some great ideas. But when you're building relationships, you can say things possibly like, hey, I'm easier to reach here over here. I'm usually on over here on this platform. So reach me over here if you really need to get in touch with me. And that'll kind of migrate them over naturally. Um, you're not going to be doing that. You're not going to be dependent on just one inbox. Build your connections, not just followers. Followers are great, but real connection means people will find you anywhere. They will want to be connected to you wherever you are, and that's why relationship building is so important in this business. The goal really isn't to be good at Facebook. Some people are, but the goal in network marketing is to develop all the skills that Coach Will mentioned so that you could be amazing anywhere you go. You can be amazing anywhere, or you can at least be able to hold your own, as they say, if you're in a different environment. So the don't wait until something happens to start thinking about this. Please do, start making some moves today, or start make a plan where you can migrate some of your people. Um, but start building multiple lanes. No matter what happens, your business keeps moving. And really, really think about this. If one app going down can stop your business, you don't have a business yet. You have an account. So keep that in mind. Now I'd like to introduce you all to our teacher tonight, Coach Seymour Greenish Blake. He is a multiple six-figure earner in the network marketing world, a six-figure earner at our Green Organics company at HBN, an amazing, amazing teacher, always has really great information, always drops some gems that you can learn for your business, learn for life lessons, things like that. So Coach Seymour Greenish Blake, are you available, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. As my camera went off for a second. Um, Thank you for that warm introduction. And like Miriam said, today is Tuesday's Transformation Tuesday. So what I want to do today is I want to make sure that everybody on this call right now is in a location where they can pay attention to what will be taught when we talk today. I want you to have your thinking hat on, and I want you to have an open mind. because what I'm going to talk about today is something that could seriously help you move to the next level in your business and stop you from that mindset of quitting. And the first thing I want to say before we get started is this. Remember your 20 reasons that you filled out when you first joined this business. Remember your top 4 goals that you filled out of those 20 reasons when you joined this business. There's a reason why Coach will always say, have a copy in your wallet, in your purse, in your car, everywhere. Because the minute you start thinking about, man, I don't know if I want to keep doing this, you should be able to have access to those 20 reasons why you got started and your top 4 goals of what you want to achieve in a short period. You should have access to that, to pick that piece of paper up, go back to it, look at it, read it, and remind yourself why you said yes to green organics. Okay. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera so I can pay attention to my notes and bring y'all this information that I'll bring into y'all today. And again, every week, I'm hoping that I reach somebody tonight, somebody that need to hear what we're going to be talking about tonight. And that said, let's go ahead and head off camera so we can get started and get you guys back to doing what you need to do for the day. So today's title is going to be Self-Discipline, which is the power to finish what you start. Let me say it again. Self-discipline is the power to finish what you have started. And with this, we're going to be setting a foundation for your transformation. Okay. So let me start by saying good evening to everyone that's on the call right now. For anybody that's coming in, if you don't get to be on here live and you get to watch the replay, make sure you go back and watch that replay and take notes for what you might have missed doing this call, because sometimes I speak a little bit fast. So before we go any further, I want you to take a moment. I want you to really settle into this space. I don't want you settling casually. I don't want you to be distracted, but intentionally, I want you to be present. Why? Because what we are about to do tonight is not just about another conversation about improving yourself. Understand this. It's just about confronting the gap between who you are right now and who you said you wanted to be in the future. And understand that that gap is not filled with ideas of motivation. It is filled with discipline. Okay? And if you're willing to be honest with yourself tonight, and I mean seriously honest with yourself tonight, you're going to start to recognize that discipline is one area that determines whether your goals stay dreams or do they become reality. So your discipline that you're going to decide on going to make one of those two decisions. Is either going to maintain being as a dream or you're going to actually make it reality. See, most people don't have a problem starting things. Most of us, when we got started with Green Organics, we were excited. We were inspired. We jumped with energy when we found out how easy this business was to work it. We got excited when we saw those commissions dropping. But somewhere along the way, that energy started fading away. The excitement started wearing off. And reality begins to set in. That is where the majority of people fall off. Don't let that be you. And they don't fall off because they lack ability. Some of you fall off because you lack the opportunity. Okay? You fall off because you lack discipline. And you lack that discipline to continue when the emotion that started then, that started you, are no longer here to support you. And that is the truth, guys. That's many people avoid that because it requires ownership. And a lot of us don't want to take that ownership, and we need to start taking ownership. And understand that I'm not blaming your circumstances. I'm not blaming your past or the people around you. It's about taking full responsibility for your patterns, your habits, your decisions. Because once you take responsibility, you start to gain control. And once you gain control, you have the power to change. Nobody else can change that but you. See, self-discipline is something reserved for a select few people. Self-discipline is a skill, a mindset, and it's also a daily practice that anyone can build if they are willing to do the work consistently. And I know that every one of you that's on this call, you're willing to do that work. How I know that? Because you are on these calls every single day, Sunday through Thursday, the same people. So I know you got the discipline, you got the consistency, but you can't do it one time and then back off of it. You have to do it consistently. The same way you getting on these calls consistently, the same way you should be taking action consistently. Don't just get on the calls. I did a teaching on that a couple of weeks ago. And I told you, once you get off these calls, if anything makes sense to you, if any nugget was very strong, act upon it. Don't let it sit there and forget about it. Act upon whatever you felt that gave you that energy and that spike again. It's just like a relationship. When you met whoever your significant other is, you did everything to impress that individual. How many of you have stopped after you got her or him? You got to keep the fire going. And if you keep the fire going, that relationship will last. Relationship don't last like back in my parents' days. When my mom passed, my dad and mom was married for 38 years. 38 years. And if they were still around today, it would have been 67 years this July. It was because my dad did not stop the fire that he put under himself to get her. He kept that fire going for all those years. And the same way you do that in your relationship, you should do it with your business. See, because I want you to understand that this session is not designed to make you feel comfortable. See, growth does not happen in comfort. It happens in awareness, in challenge, in decisions. So if at any point during this training, you feel a level of discomfort, understand that that is not something to avoid, but it's something to lean into. Because that discomfort is showing you exactly where you need to grow. So I'm hoping that by the time we finish tonight, you're not just going to understand discipline at a surface level. You're going to actually see clearly how it operates in your life. You'll see clearly where you have been falling short, and what it actually takes to become someone who follows through. And once you truly understand that, your excuses begin to lose power, and your action will start to gain strength. So let's start moving forward with intention, okay? And we want to do that because what you do with this information will determine whether this was just another session that you attended or a turning point that changes how you show up in your life from this moment forward. We ask ourselves what self-discipline really is. It is often misunderstood, and because of that misunderstanding, many people resist. They will start to resist it. They'll even try to develop it. They associate this discipline with restriction. Most of you think that discipline is punishment because when we're growing up, when we got disciplined for doing something wrong, we got punished for it. But that's not what discipline is. Okay? In reality, discipline is not about restriction. Actually, it's about freedom. Discipline is the ability to take control of your actions, your decisions, and ultimately your results. See, without discipline, you're constantly reacting to life instead of directing it. And when you lack discipline, your life becomes controlled by your emotions. You wake up and you decide what you're going to do based on how you feel at that moment. Some of us, if we feel motivated, we jump and we start taking action. But if you wake up and you're tired, then you slow down. If you wake up and you're discouraged, you're discouraged about something, guess what's going to happen? You're going to stop altogether. And over time, that emotional decision making that you're making creates inconsistency. And that inconsistency is what prevents progress. Why? Because success is built on repeated action, not occasionally effort. See, discipline changes the dynamic completely, okay? It allows you to operate from commitment instead of from your emotion. You make a decision about what needs to be done, and you follow through that decision regardless of how you feel in the moment. And that does not mean that you ignore your emotions. Not telling you to ignore that. What I'm telling you to do, what I'm trying to tell you is that it means that you do not allow those emotions, to control your behavior. See, because once you develop that level of control, your life begins to stabilize. And it will stabilize in a way that most people never experience. It is very important to understand this. Discipline is not something that appears overnight, guys. It's something developed through daily practice. And every time you choose to follow through on something that you said you were going to do, then you're strengthening that muscle. And every time that you choose to avoid it and delay it or make an excuse, then you're weakening it. And over time, those small decisions compound into a pattern, and that pattern becomes your standard. So, what level are your standards at? Most of us have standards on what type of vehicle we drive, what kind of home we gonna live in, who we're gonna have a relationship with. But you don't have those same standards when it comes to your business. Your business gonna pay you what you are worth. Your job don't. And again, not to knock your job because I had one, but your job not gonna pay you what you are worth. You work your business hard, and that your business will pay you exactly what you work. You have to ask your boss at your job for a raise. If you want a raise with your business, you look in the mirror and you tell yourself you're going to give yourself a raise, and you get out there and you work that business to get that raise. So that's why your business will pay you what you're worth. But for that to happen, you have to have discipline. And what makes it powerful is not just what it helps you achieve, it is who it turns you into. Discipline will build confidence. Why? Because you begin to trust yourself. It builds resilience. Why? Because you learn how to keep going even when things are not ideal to you. And another thing that it builds is clarity because your action starts aligning with your goals instead of working against them. That is why discipline is not an option. And it's not optional. And it's not optional if you want to grow. It's not optional. It is foundational. So when you think about discipline moving forward, do not see it as something that limits you. See it as a tool that gives you control over your life. Because without that, your potential stays unrealized. But with it, you begin to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Ask yourself, why do people quit? It is rarely suddenly a sudden decision. Most people, when they quit, they didn't just wake up today and say, I'm going to quit. It is not something that just happened. Okay? It is usually the result of a gradual shifting in mindset and behavior that happens over time. Anytime I hear people say to me, Coach Seymour, don't give up on me, man. I'm still here. I'm not quitting, bro. I'm gonna work this thing. The minute they tell me that, their quitting clock begins. I had somebody told me that 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they came into business with me. In 4 months, they made enough money to earn a 1099. Told me that they had never been in. They've been in several businesses and never earned a 1099 in business. Then a little shiny object got shined in their face. And they didn't say nothing about it till maybe 3, 4 weeks later. But then they saw me and they was like, you know what, Coach Seymour, don't give up on me, man. I ain't gonna quit. I'm gonna be here. A few weeks later, and I mean that she told me that I knew what was happening. A few weeks later, I saw her posting up something about another company called LG. Then after that was Oregano. And then after that was another, it was like 5 businesses in the last 2 years. And because she quit, because she quit, okay? People start off strong. They're full of energy and excitement. But as soon as they encounter resistance, then their perspective begin to change. And that resistance might come in a form of slow progress, unexpected challenges, or a lack of immediate results. And if what I'm talking about today makes sense, put a one in the chat because I want to know that y'all understanding what I'm teaching here today. Okay. One of the biggest reasons that people quit is because they have unrealistic expectations about the process. A lot of them expect things to move quickly. They want that to move quickly so that they can feel good that most of the time and to produce visible results early on. And when those expectations are not met, then they begin to question whether what they are doing is working. And once doubt enters that picture, guess what? Their level of commitment starts weakening. Another reason that people quit is because they're really too heavy on motivation. I understand sometimes that motivation is powerful, but motivation is something that is temporary. It comes and it goes, guys. And it does that based on circumstances, your mood. your environment. If your actions are dependent on motivation, then guess what? Then your consistency will always fluctuate because your motivation goes up and down, just like your mood goes up and down. And when consistency start dropping, progress will start to slow down. And that slowdown create frustration. And frustration often leads to people quitting. There's also a deeper psychological factor that is involved. And many people have developed a pattern of starting and stopping things throughout their lives. The reason I wrote my book, Winning is My Only Option, is because I don't believe in quitting. Just like I told y'all many times before, I don't believe in plan Bs. Because if you have a plan B, then you have the option to quit what you're doing if it's not working because you know you'll have something else to fall back on. But if you don't have that plan B, then your only option is going to be to win. If you make a mistake, you're not going to give up. You're going to study that mistake and figure out what you need to do to make sure it don't happen again. Okay? Understand that quitting is also reinforced by what? The desire for comfort. And for you to grow, growth requires a lot of discomfort. And most people are not conditioned to handle that. They're not conditioned to handle that discomfort for an extended period of time. And when things becomes challenging, they look for relief. They look for plan B. And the easiest form of relief is stopping. But what they do not realize is that while quitting, that provides short-term comfort. It creates long-term dissatisfaction. So we got to start understanding why people quit because it's very important because it allows you to recognize those patterns in your own life. And once you see them clearly, then you can interrupt them. You can make them different. You can make different decisions. And that is where changes begin. Not in avoiding challenges, but in responding to them differently. If you're driving down the road and there's a detour, do you turn around and go back home? No. You follow the detour, you go around it, you challenge it. Why? Because you need to get to your destination. You should use this same mindset when it comes to your business. And the way to build discipline, you have to do it through consistency. Building discipline does not require a complete overhaul of your life overnight, okay? In fact, trying to change everything at once in one fast way, you're going to have failure. Real discipline is built through consistency and it's done in small actions. It's about creating a pattern of follow through that you can sustain over time. And that means starting with manageable commitment and honoring them daily. One way you can make sure that you get your stuff, you get that consistency is put stuff in your calendar, set alarms on your phone. I don't care if you have to set 10, 15, 20 alarms throughout the day. And you set it so it will remind you that you have to do that particular thing. And after a while, you won't need that alarm anymore. I remember when we first started with HBN, I had an alarm that every time my alarm went off in the morning for me to get up for work, it didn't just have an alarm sound. I made a recording, and on that recording, it told me to get up, take your black seed oil, your silver, and your zinc. And he repeated that till I turned that alarm on. Time to take your black sea oil, zinc, and silver. And after a while, I didn't need that anymore because now it became repetitive and it was something that was consistent in my mind. So I didn't have to remind myself to do it anymore. You have a smartphone, take advantage of that tool. I even have an appointment set up on my chat GPT for a whole every 30 days at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. for something for me to go do and to some kind of content creation to create. For 30 days, every morning at 9 o'clock, my alarm goes off for that purpose. And once you start doing that, it becomes consistent. You start disciplining yourself. Okay. When you focus on small, consistent actions, you remove the pressure of perfection. You're not trying to be perfect, you're trying to be reliable. And reliability builds trust with you. Every time you follow through on a commitment, no matter how small that commitment may be, you start to reinforce the belief that you can depend on yourself. And that belief is critical because without self trust, discipline cannot grow. Last week, I told you all about getting in front of the mirror and talking to yourself. Consistency also creates momentum, guys. And when you take action repeatedly, even at a small scale, it begins to build on itself. What once felt difficult will start to feel normal. And what once required effort starts to feel automatic. And as that momentum builds, it becomes easier to expand your capacity. You can take one more, do more, and handle more without feeling overwhelmed. Okay? It is important to understand that consistency will sometimes feel boring to you. Some people don't get on these calls because they say they are repetitive. So it becomes boring to them. But even though it might be repetitive, there's always something that you're going to gain from that call. I've been with this company 7 years, and I'm on every call. Unless I have something important going on, I am on those calls. I still get on those calls every single day for the last 7 years. Okay. It will not always be exciting or engaging, but that is part of the process. Discipline is not built on moments of excitement. It is built on moments of repetition. And when you learn how to show up consistently, even when it feels routine, you start to develop a level of stability that supports long-term success. See, there will also be moments when you're working on your discipline where you miss a step or you fall off track. How many times have you been coming down a step and missed a step and almost tore yourself up? It's the same thing with discipline. Okay, you will miss a step or you will fall off track. Understand that that is normal. Understand that the key is not to allow those moments to turn into patterns. Discipline is not about never making mistakes. It's about returning to your commitment quickly. And the faster you recover from it, the stronger your discipline becomes. And over time, those small, consistent actions will start to shape your behavior in a powerful way. It will start to create habits, and those habits define your daily life. And since your daily life determines your results, consistency becomes the driving force behind everything that you achieve. Now let's mix identity with self-discipline. At its core, discipline is deeply connected to your identity. See, because the way you see yourself influence the way you will act. If you believe you're someone who struggles with follow through, then guess what? Your behavior will reflect that, and it will reflect that belief strongly. But if you begin to see yourself as someone who is disciplined, then your actions will start to align with that identity. So changing your identity is not about repeating positive statements without action. It's about building evidence through your behavior. And every time that you follow through on a commitment, then you're creating proof that supports a new identity. Over time, that proof becomes stronger, and it becomes stronger than some of your old habits. And then your self perception will begin to shift. And that shift is powerful. Why? Because it removes internal resistance. See, because when discipline becomes part of your identity, then you no longer will start to debate whether or not you're going to take action. You will just do it. It's going to become automatic to you. You do what needs to be done. Why? Because that is who you are becoming. And when something becomes part of your identity, then it's much harder for you to break that. It's much harder for you to say, man, I'm going to quit. It's much harder for you to give up. It's much harder for you to forget your 20 reasons. And it's also important to be aware of the language that you use with yourself, guys. The words that you repeat internally will shape your beliefs. If you're constantly telling yourself that you're inconsistent or undisciplined, you reinforce that identity. But if you begin to shift your language and back it up with action, then you start creating a new internal narrative. This process takes time, but you know what? It's worth it because your identity changed your behavior and it follows naturally. Okay? You no longer rely on willpower alone. Instead, your actions are driven by who you believe you are. And that alignment creates a level of consistency that is sustainable. And ultimately, discipline is not just about achieving goals. It's going to be about becoming the kind of person who achieves them consistently. And that transformation happens at the identity level. Now we got to start making those decisions to never quit. Because there come a point in your growth where discipline moves beyond effort and it becomes a decision. It's no longer something that you are trying to develop, guys. It's going to be something that you choose to live by. And that decision is rooted in commitment. You decide that quitting is no longer an option. And that's regardless of how difficult that process becomes. See, because when you remove quitting as an option, then your mindset starts shifting significantly. Instead of questioning whether you should continue, you're going to start focusing on how to continue. Challenges will no longer feel like barriers. They're going to become problems for you to solve. And that shift in perspective allows you to stay engaged, even when things are not going as you plan. It does not mean that the journey becomes easy. Understand that. Okay? You will still face obstacles. You're going to still have setbacks. Sometimes you're going to even have moments of doubt. but your response to those moments will be different. Instead of stopping, you're going to start adjusting. Instead of avoiding those discomfort, you're going to work to them. And over time, you know what's going to happen? That approach going to start to build resilience. And that is what allows discipline to last. The ability to keep going even when progress is showing you or unclear to you. And that ability is what separates those success or those who succeed from those who do not. It is not about being perfect, guys, because nobody's perfect. It's about being persistent. So understand that the decision to never quit always strengthens your confidence. And every time that you push through a challenge, you're going to start to prove to yourself that you're not capable of more, that you're not capable of more than you thought. That proof will build trust, and that trust will reinforce your commitment. And then in the end, guess what? Success is not determined by how many times you started. It's going to be determined by how many times you continued. And when you make that decision to never quit, you're going to start to give yourself the opportunity to reach outcomes that most people never experienced. If you'd have asked me 25 years ago if network marketing will generate me multiple six-figure income, I would have told you, I don't think so. But because of my consistency, I never gave up. And because of not giving up, I was able to achieve those. Now my goal is a little bit bigger. And each time it's going to get bigger because I saw that those small achievements was able to be complete. I was able to reach them. Okay. So in closing, my final message to you is this: a call to action. So as we bring this together, I want you to reflect on what you have heard here tonight. And not as information, but as a mirror. I want you to look at your patterns, your habits, your level of follow through. And I want you to be honest about where you are, because honesty is the starting point for changes. Without it, nothing shifts. Okay? You have the ability to build discipline. It is not something that is out of reach, guys, but it requires a decision followed by consistent action. It requires you to show up even when it's inconvenient. And it requires you to stay committed even when results are not immediate. The question is not whether you can do it. The question is whether you will. And it's because your future is shaped by your daily actions, not your intentions. And those actions drives by your level of discipline. So make a decision tonight. Choose one area of your life where you're going to improve your consistency. I want you to start small, but I want you to stay committed. And as you build that consistency, then I want you to expand it into other areas. Because once you master discipline in one area, then you can apply it to anything. And when that happens, then your potential becomes something that you can actually realize, not just imagine. And that is where everything would change. Back to you, Mary.
Wow. Coach Seymour always brings a fire. You all please give him some love in the chat. um, discipline, something that I have personally been had struggled with the last 3 years. Being inconsistent. It is so I'm seeing every day now how it is so important. It's so important. Yeah, I lost the weight, but I wasn't consistent with my business. And now going through things, I have become inconsistent with my weight loss and more consistent with my business. So you've got to find that happy medium there, but you've got to be consistent and trust and believe when you all see me in August, it's going to be a different Miriam. Just saying. But it's really something thinking about the things we dream about. They can forever be dreams. They can forever be dreams. I don't know how many people say, "Oh, I'm going to be a six-figure earner," or "I'm going to hit diamond." I mean, how many times did I say I was going to hit diamond
Mhm.
until I mean after it was just so simple of just consistent work. And the same thing with this with your business. Consistent work. You might not like it. It may feel uncomfortable, but you got to get uncomfortable to do things that you want to do that you've never done before. So, um, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. You always drop some gems. I hope you all were taking notes because he was really giving you all some heads up, especially about how to structure your day, how to structure your your content that you post if you are a poster. Some people are more of a people person where they get out and meet people at coffee shops and work fairs and craft fairs or what have you. But if you are a social media person and you got to have that content, you better get some discipline and just have that listen to this recording again. It's really simple. You don't need to, message somebody and say, well, what's your day like? Give me your schedule. No, create your own. It's your business, it's your content. Create your own. Create your brand. It's your brand. It's not my brand, it's yours. Create your brand. Be you. Do you. Because people are only gonna uh gravitate towards you, your personality, your tribe is gonna find you. They're going to find you. So, um, Coach Seymour, do you have anything else you'd like to add to that?
I just thought of something when you made a comment, and a lot of us, a lot of us built our dreams on other people's dreams.
Mhm.
And like you say, you got to build your own content. Stop want to be like Coach Marcus, Coach Will. Be you, okay? I can guarantee you that Coach Marcus didn't want to be somebody else. I never, I never want people to say, "Man, you remind me of this person." I am Seymour. I never build my dreams on what I saw somebody else because I don't know what they went through to get there. Now I may my peak their mind and ask questions, but I don't want to have the same exact results as somebody else. You have to build your own brand. I see a lot of people when they promote their products, they constantly pushing HBN. HBN and Go Desana is their brand. That's their brand. You got to start your own brand. Make people know that when they buying the product, they buying it from you, not HBN, not Go Desana. That's their brand. You got to have your own. Stop trying to be somebody else and be yourself. And I guarantee you, if you start doing that, then you will start achieving things better because you're not trying. If you try to be a Coach Marcus, or Coach Will, or Coach Whitaker, or Coach Sonic, or Coach Kim, you're gonna go broke if you're trying to do it the way they're doing it.
Mhm.
Okay, I've been told that many times. Stop being trying to get what somebody else has. And if you do that, guys, again, that's where discipline comes in. You have to want your own dreams, and then you have to work for it. And then you got to really put it in. It starts here. Everything starts in the mind. Okay. Once it starts here, then you need to take it up there. And then from up there, you got to put it in here. And then you got to get out there and work it because it's going to start here. But if you have that man up here guiding you and put in the faith in them, and then you bring it into your heart. How many times when you got hurt in a relationship, you actually felt it in your heart, like if your heart was twisting? You felt the hurt there. So if you bring it from up there to here, trust me, when you get out there, you're going to really put into it and you're going to get what you're trying to achieve because you're coming from your inside, from your soul. So stop trying to be like everybody else and be yourself. That's it for me, my Miriam. Back to you.
Oh, you said it all. You said it all. I mean, learning to be yourself is so important, especially with this business. It's your identity. I can post about fried okra and okra all day long. And believe it or not, I'm finding people that actually like okra. And but it's part of my brand, the health part of it. And I love it. I'm loving it. I'm loving people liking the same things your tribe, like the things you like. You'll find them. Don't worry. So tomorrow night we have a franchise factor. I believe it's part 4 with Coach Marcus. The same time, same channel. What is it? Same bat time. Oh, no training tomorrow. Okay, no training. So um use that time tomorrow at 7 p.m. to go hard at your business. Don't get crazy and get banned like I did. But go hard on your business. Start if you don't know what to do, get some sort of resource. Like I said, Chat GPT. Tell Chat GPT, look, I like this, I like that. I want my business to be this. My hobbies are this. It will help you. If you can't figure it out, it will help you figure out what you are, what your brand is. But work on your business because it's all about you. So I'm going to end this call. I hope everybody got some great insight with this. Um, that we can just go for it, implement something you learned tonight with your business, and we will see you on Thursday for the Detox Divas at 7 p.m. Central and our business opportunity overview with Coach Marcus at 8. And I believe Detox Divas is at coffeetalkwithtina.com. And Coach Marcus is here, same Zoom channel, One Team, One Dream, Hangout.com. Thank you so much, you all, and love you. We'll see you Thursday.